narrowing, and we think it's probably sent junk in there, it's not going to affect your eye on the side. Okay? So, I mean, you have blurry vision for any number of things. I have blurrier vision than when I was 40. So we know that. Okay? It does happen. However, so we expect some of those things aren't going to improve. What we want to prevent is a bigger stroke that would affect this right brain.
Okay, now our understanding is we had a window of time between a week and 2 weeks or something.
It depends. For me, if it's a temporary minor stroke, yeah, 2 weeks, definitely. If you have recurrent strokes, you go to the operating room.
But we don't know. I mean,
No, this is a completed stroke. So this is a moderate amount where she's got a floppy arm. So there's no, in my experience, there's no urgency to like getting her to the operating room right now. As a matter of fact, you need to actually improve the functionality of the arm. Okay? How's your walking around doing?
No problem.
No problem there, thank goodness. Okay.
No.
Well, let me do one thing. Hang on. Close your eyes for me. I'm going to touch your hands. Tell me which hand. Which one?
Right or left. Both.
Okay, good. All right. So what we'll do is we'll get you scheduled for getting this surgery done. Plus, you're just getting over the little rash event, so we're all wearing hairnets,
So you've heard this, huh?
and you made the staff rather itchy.
Yeah. Yeah, me too.
No, not that necessarily you get it, but when you think about it, everybody starts scratching.
Everybody starts.
I was going to wear a flea collar.
Okay, and I think we're concerned about the age thing.
The age thing is a relative matter, right? But at 92, I mean, there's still in terms of what you want to do as far as your choices, you still have a choice of just not going with any surgery and continuing with the medical therapy. But
Yeah, but we see
you
the
kind of
results.
fall
Yeah.
down, right? So we know that that's a potential risk. Okay?
Right.
That right now you've demonstrated that you've failed medical therapy, so usually the standard teaching is you go in after the artery. Okay? Age, yes, is a relative thing, but you don't get this when you're 30 years old either.
And the possibility of something worse during the surgery.
Yeah, there's always the risk of a stroke associated with a surgery, but right now I think you're at a bigger risk of recurrent stroke if we don't do something.
Okay.
So, I mean, that's really the bottom line. Which has the bigger risk?
Yes.
Okay, carotid procedures are not without risk. We know that.
Yeah.
You had one done way back when, and you didn't like it so much, and then that partly colored what you wanted to do this time around.
Right. Well, it does.
Even though we had you scheduled for surgery already, and I remember you
know.
called us up. No, it's okay. Don't kick yourself.
No.
And statistically speaking, when you look at the risk of stroke after one of these things, it's not 100%.
No.
It's about 20%. That leaves you 80% without.
So if she decided not to do the surgery, we're in this again and again, repetitive, like
It
potential
could be
strokes.
worse, or you can have nothing at all.
Or nothing at all.
I mean, let's say at 60, yeah. I mean, realistically, you got another 20, 30 plus years ahead of you. Could you get another stroke? Yeah, you could. At 92, could you get another stroke? Yeah, but something else could take you from this earth too.
Yeah.
You're right. But I don't have that crystal ball. All I know is what the problem is and how to best fix it for you. And when we do these carotid surgeries, it's not like we do open heart. They're not tremendously mega
Right.
procedures. By and large, we do it, and most people usually go home the next day or two. So it's not like open heart surgery.
Right.
And one of the concerns was that you had this surgery done on the left side. Sometimes there's a small risk of it affecting the vocal cord nerves. And one of the reasons why we waited a little bit, had the ENT doctor see it, and both your vocal cords are working well, so that's good.
Well, they are because I can't sing anymore. But that's,
I know you told me that, and because of that, that's why we had you checked.
yeah.
Because once in a while the vocal cords can get damaged. by
Right,
surgery.
right.
And it could be just a matter of singing or voice, but you don't want to damage. You don't want unknown damage on one side and then you ding the other side. Then neither of the vocal cords work. If you have one working, you can live with that.
Okay.
But both of your vocal cords are working, so that's a good thing. And I'm glad we got that looked at.
Yeah. This Kathy said, at this age, it's a little risk.
It's a risk.
Yeah.
I mean, you know, we know that.
I would, yes, I know you know it, and.
I wish there was something.
But then
I could
you have
say
to weigh the risk. Is it riskier to leave it as it is or to fix it?
Yeah.
it-
And that was one of the reasons also why we presented you in conference, so you kind of got a second, third opinion. Dr. Siva Murthy knew in September you were in the hospital because we talked about you as a case in terms of, well, any other recommendations. Everybody said she probably needs the carotid procedure done.
Yeah.
That was way back when. Okay, much less a
Nursing,
second
yeah.
episode when you've been on full-blown medication therapy. I mean, it's as good as we can get you.
The thing is, so it's always a thing, it's always going to be a thing right up to the day of surgery. I decided to go ahead with it, you know, but it decided last time too, and then it chickened out. So,
Well, you know, it's easy to say you should have the surgery done when you're not the one who's
Right,
having it
right.
done.
So what do we do about this arm? So you want the
No,
arm
so
stronger?
hang on. So the arm, it's a matter of physical therapy and occupational therapy.
Okay.
So fixing the artery isn't going to make the arm better.
No, I know.
The
So you
damage
want
is already done.
Right.
So in that couple of weeks, you can try to improve that arm.
Yeah.
Okay. To make luckily, you know, if I remember, you're right-handed, so this is not your dominant arm. You already have some discoordination even with your good arm. So, but we don't want, you know, we at least wanted to get your other arm better. It's not a prerequisite for having surgery.
No, no.
Okay. All it is just to kind of stabilize things.
Okay.
Well,
Okay.
it sounds very positive, and I'm getting to the point to recognize it may present another problem. It may not. So it's one that's good.
No, you were on the full-blown aspirin at home?
Yeah.
Yeah.
Baby
The
aspirin.
baby aspirin. Yeah. We may try you on the aspirin and the Plavix, or just the Plavix itself, which is like a super aspirin, if you will. Okay.
To what? Break up the clot?
No, it's not to break it up. Well, what happens? It's not a clot. It's a piece of plaque, and then as the blood rushes through there, it tends to
Take some with it?
It tends to bounce around the irregular areas, and then it starts forming little clots that are initiated by the platelets. That's why the aspirin is very effective. That's why the Plavix is also very effective.
Ah, you scare me.
Okay?
Sorry.
So it prevents that from happening. It's not 100%, but we recognize it's better than nothing. Okay?
Well,
So it's not to fix this or help this.
It's to
It makes
stabilize the
no
situation
difference.
and minimize the risk.
and from talking from the worst that could happen would be that I
The worst that could happen with surgery would be a major stroke with surgery. You know that. We talked about
We
this.
talked about it.
I mean, that was one of the risks also when you had the left side done, although that was some years back.
I was younger.
The second most worst case scenario would be death associated with the surgery. That's probably a little less
That's, yeah, but that's the worst.
common. Well, actually, one would make the argument that the stroke is worse because
I agree.
it can leave you. I mean, I think most people.
I
would,
agree.
right?
Yeah, I
I
agree.
mean, I'd rather dead. You're dead. Don't worry about
Yeah.
being, you
Right,
know,
yeah.
impaired significantly.
Yeah,
it's a
that's
problem
that's
because
way worse.
It pushes a lot of things on your family and on yourself. So yeah, but that's what we're trying to prevent is the stroke.
Okay. Now, do we have
A
your?
heart attack is also a risk. Usually, heart attacks don't end up making you disabled unless it's a big heart attack. But we know it's not like we have a whole lot of room to tinker around and get your heart worked up in lieu of this thing.
No.
And you know, if they found something that they're going to have to do heart bypass surgery, they may balk at your age, right? Because the heart surgery is a big physiological hit for your body. The carotid is less so because it's an artery here in the neck. It's important because it provides that blood flow to that part of the brain. Although realistically, that artery of yours is pretty well narrowed. But the reason why you're having the symptoms is not because the artery is narrow, because you're getting plenty of blood flow from the other side, but rather it's an irregular surface and pieces of junk are coming up from the artery. Yeah, so we need to give you a smooth surface. An angioplasty is one way of doing it, but your artery is so hard with calcium that if you plastic it open, that you are at a higher risk.
Now, do you have a business card in case?
No, I just came from the operating room, so
Okay.
I didn't know I'd be seeing patients. I'm not even on call today, so
Spell your name.
Romualdo. You'll get a call from my office. You've been there before.
I spelled it wrong, so spell it for me.
I
Romualdo.
think I have one.
Yeah, you must have my
you-
card because
okay.
you mean you got as far as we got you scheduled for
Yeah.
surgery.
I've got a card and I think it has a picture on it.
That's not the point. It's Pat wants it, so
Okay?
Okay.
All right.
It sounds pretty positive.
Okay.
So
So I'll talk to Dr. Lakshmi and then we'll come up with a game plan for you.
I
We'll try to
sort of
come up
have
with a schedule.
come
I'm
to-
gone all next week, so we'll probably do you after I get back. Okay, this week's probably a little too soon yet because I want you to get that better. And then that's going to get better. I mean, when this happened to you, was your arm worse?
Yes, it's improved so much.
Okay, that's good.
Yeah, just a little bit.
Yeah, I mean, and also you'll notice when you're tired or when you're waking up from sleep, it starts getting
it's worse.
sloppy.
Yeah.
It's just like a toddler. They do the same thing,
Yeah.
right? Toddlers, they start falling or stumbling when they get tired or when they're waking up.
And it has quite a punch too.
Don't punch anybody, including
It
yourself.
goes, it flops around a bit and it
Okay.
just gave me a wax. I was surprised at just how wobbly it was.
All right, you two.
Thank you. Thank you
Okay.
very much.